Hello and welcome to Tech Deal's first boot and Windows setup of the $200 HP 14-inch notebook computer. I have previously done an unboxing and overview of this computer, link to that in the video description below. This video is showing you the first boot process and the setup process of this laptop. Now, this is a $200 machine. It is not fancy, it is not high-end, but what it is small, thin, and lightweight, and very, very inexpensive. It has an AMD quad-core processor, 4 gigabytes of system RAM, 32 gigabytes of storage, and most importantly, a 14-inch Full HD 1080p display. It's a very, very nice display on a very inexpensive laptop. Now, the 32 gigabytes of storage is flash memory. It's basically similar to a solid-state drive. It's not quite a solid-state drive, but it's basically the speed of a solid-state drive, just not as large as you would typically find on a more expensive machine. Now, I talked about that in the video that I did first, which will be linked in the description below, and a way to upgrade that to add more storage. So check that out if you're interested. But if you want a laptop for school, for work, for travel, for your kids, or just to have a spare around the house or whatever, then this is a really, really nice machine for basic email, basic web browsing, watching videos, watching YouTube videos for just $200. Now, you can find a link to this laptop in the video description below to Amazon.com, where I bought this laptop, and so should you if you're looking for this deal, so go check it out. It's a really, really good machine. Now, what you're looking at here on the screen is the very first thing you will see on the computer when you turn it on. Now, I'm not going to change the first three items because the defaults work for me. I'm in the US, I speak English, but I am going to change the time zone because I am in Central Time. So change it to whatever's appropriate for you and then hit next. And then here's the legal stuff. This is basically the license agreement between you, Microsoft, and Hewlett-Packard. You have to accept it because, frankly, if you don't, you can't use the computer. We'll hit accept. And then you have to choose how do you want to configure the machine. Now, if you are connected to a hardwired connection, you would find that here. Otherwise, you can select your Wi-Fi connection, which I'll do now, and then proceed to the next step. Now we are connected to the network. I typed in my password, logged in, and here we are. Now, this laptop does have an RJ45 Ethernet connection. If you want to plug it in, you absolutely can and get online that way, or use the excellent built-in AC Wi-Fi and get online that way as well. Now, this here is the Get Going Fast screen. You have the choice of Use Express Settings or Customize. Short version here. This is where the privacy, diagnostic, usage, and telemetry data to Microsoft, this is where the settings for that are. In Customize, there are multiple pages of settings choosing how data can be sent to Microsoft. If you are concerned about your privacy, if you don't want Microsoft to have information about how you use Windows, click Customize and turn some of those settings off. I'm going to use Express Settings. Why? Because frankly, my data is already not secure. It's already being shared with Google and Facebook and Twitter. And so frankly, the fact that Microsoft has it is just one more large company that has my browsing data. I don't worry about it too much. And here we are at the welcome screen. The machine did a quick reboot after getting critical updates. It does that sometimes when you're connected to the internet before it even boots you to the Windows desktop. It'll get critical updates and then reboot the machine. I trimmed that out because that just took about a minute to do over Wi-Fi. And here we are. Just a moment. Make it yours. This is the Microsoft account sign-in page. What is a Microsoft account? Well, if you are new to recent versions of Windows, Microsoft offers you the option to create a Microsoft account to set up the machine using authentication through their servers, which does provide you with some benefits beyond just letting them know more information about you. Now, you don't have to do this. There is a skip this step option right down here in the bottom left-hand corner to create a local account, but there are benefits to creating a Microsoft account. First of all, it ties the Windows 10 license key to your account rather than the hardware, making it much easier to move that license to new hardware, or if you repair or upgrade your machine and it becomes inactivated, if you're signed in with your Microsoft account, I can tell you from personal experience, reactivating is super simple. The other benefit is parental controls, transferring preferences, OneDrive information, Skype preferences from machine to machine. Some of you care, some of you don't. Now, because this is a test machine and I'm going to be signing in and rebooting over and over, I am going to skip this step, but I do use Microsoft accounts on all my machines. I will note, you do not have to use a Microsoft email account. You can use any email address, any phone number, or any Skype name. So I'm going to click skip this step, and I'm going to type in what else? Tech Deals. Now, for the password, I strongly recommend you use a password on your computer. No, it's not foolproof. It doesn't keep out elite hackers, but it does protect your machine from casual theft and casual use. And frankly, in my opinion, I think most computers should have a password. However, again, I'm not going to put one on because I'm going to reboot this machine 50 times during testing. And next. Meet Cortana. Cortana is your sidekick. Short version. You familiar with Siri from Apple? Well, Cortana is Microsoft's version. It allows you to use speech or typing in order to collect information, search the web, keep your calendar, turn it on, turn it off. I'm going to choose not now because I'm just using it as a test machine and I don't use it as part of my testing, but turn it on or off at your pleasure. Register and protect. Now, this is with HP, not Microsoft. If you build your own machine and install Windows yourself, you won't see a screen like this. I am going to uncheck these options, leave these blank. Now, if you want to register with HP, you can. And if you're going to keep the laptop, you may want to. Now, I'm not going to keep this. I'm going to end up selling it. But I'm not going to register it because, frankly, I don't care if HP has my data or not, but I'm not going to give it to them willingly. And we'll hit next. Just a moment. We're happy you're here. Now it's going through the initial one-time setup process. Now this just takes a minute because it's doing the first-time app setup. HP provides programs and applications in addition to what Microsoft provides. Now, I'm going to show you which of those I'm keeping and which I'm removing, and I will talk about why I'm going to remove some of them. Part of the reason I do these Windows setup first boot videos isn't just to show you how to log into Windows and turn it on. Anybody can do that. That's not the point. Instead, we make sure that our antivirus is running. We make sure that Windows is up to date. We clean up any junk or shovelware that is provided by manufacturers, or at least we talk about what it is and why you might or might not want to keep it. A lot of people get a new computer and don't know what they can and cannot keep. What is all this stuff for? That's why I make these videos. Now, some of you may watch this and go, well, I know all about all this. I know what I'm doing. Fine, fair enough. Maybe you don't need to watch this. The next video in the playlist, also linked in the video description below, will be Windows Performance Review. I'm going to do more videos on this laptop, so if this isn't of interest or you've gotten to this point and you're bored, no worries. There'll be more interesting videos, performance videos, and other testing to come. This message on the screen is actually a very important one. Windows stays up to date to help to protect you in an online world. That is very true. Microsoft has had what I like to call a come to Jesus moment with security. Back in the bad old days of Windows XP, Microsoft did not take online security seriously. They were well known for having an insecure operating system, Lexstart. Security is much better. Windows is updated frequently and often. Microsoft has a full-time team working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on security fixes, antivirus updates, malware updates. They often push out multiple fixes per week to Windows. Their antivirus definitions are often updated once or twice a day. They now take security very, very seriously. I highly recommend that unless you have a really compelling reason not to, keep Windows up to date for your own safety. And this is the first screen that comes up once the machine is finished booting. Congratulations, welcome to HP. Now, if you actually look at the bottom text on the screen, HP uses tools to collect, combine, and analyze technical data to enhance app functionality and performance. Let me translate that for you. HP wants all the information Microsoft's getting about your machine. We're going to end up taking a lot of this off because I personally think it's unnecessary and it just slows your machine down and wastes that precious, precious solid-state storage space. So the first thing we're going to do now, again, this is all optional, is we're going to close this by using the big X in the upper right-hand corner. Once that's closed, the first thing we're going to do on a brand new computer is reboot it. Yes, I said reboot. Why? Because oftentimes there's a first set of updates that it's received in the background, then we're going to run Windows Update. So, start, power, restart, and we'll be back when it's rebooted. And here we are back into Windows 10. So before we run any programs, and I know a lot of people, they get a brand new computer, they get excited, and the first thing they want to do is open their web browser, they want to log into their email, check their Facebook, log into their banking. Don't do that. Windows is not secure. Almost every single computer sold by any company, and this is not a knock on HP, is not secure. We're going to go to Start. We're going to click on the Settings icon, and we are going to click on, well, this is a little bit big, we'll click Update and Security. Now it says no updates are available. However, that's because it hasn't been run yet. We're going to hit check for updates. Yes, it will find some, not to worry. Now, this machine does have a relatively recent version of Windows 10 on it. However, it is not current. It is many, many months old. When computer companies, and there's a bunch of updates right there, when companies such as HP, Acer, Dell, Lenovo, when they make these machines, they pick a point in time to image Windows. And then that version of Windows is used for many months, sometimes a year, without ever being updated. That's because it's been validated and tested, and they want to ship out the machine in a known working configuration. So when you first get it and get online, the first thing to do is to run Windows Update. Now this won't take too long. It's fairly quick because we do have flash-based storage. It's not a hard drive in here, so it is relatively quick. However, the time to download these updates is dependent upon your internet connection. The faster your connection, the faster the download. And it is going to take 5 to 10 minutes to do at least the most basic of updating. How much depends upon how old the version of Windows is. It can take half an hour to an hour if you have maybe a year or a year and a half old version of Windows. So this process is going to take a variable amount of time, but it must be done before you start using your machine. Microsoft patches on a weekly basis security holes, security exploits, security flaws, problems that are found and discovered. Windows is tens of millions of lines of computer code. Components that are years old from different versions that are incorporated in order to make... The reason why you can run Windows programs from the past 20 years on Windows 10 is because there's so much legacy code built into it in order to support old programs. You can run stuff literally written in 1997, 20 years ago. Most of that stuff will still run on Windows 10. In order to do that, a lot of the old pieces of Windows are actually included. This is one of the reasons why Windows keeps getting bigger year after year, taking so much storage, is there's pieces and components of older versions to support every layer and every development that have been made for decades. But over time, flaws, exploits, holes have been found. And so Microsoft fixes them over time. If you don't keep your version of Windows up to date, it only takes one exploit, one hole, one flaw in order to let the bad guys in. Now we're going to trim this here because this is going to take 5 or 10 minutes and you don't want to sit and watch a progress bar. So we'll be back in just a minute when this is done. Windows Update is now complete. A restart is required to actually install the full set of updates that we just downloaded. So we're going to click Restart now, and we'll be back when that's finished. And Windows has finally finished updating, and we are back to the login screen. It is worth noting that on a $200 machine, you cannot expect top-end performance, so this does take a little bit longer. However, side note, if you are looking at the time in the bottom right-hand corner, that is not real time because I went and had dinner and did a few other things while it was running Windows Update, so you can't measure the amount of time that I've trimmed from the video based on the clock because I was doing other things. The next step is to go through the programs that are included on the machine and see what we might want to remove. What is taking up space that we don't actually require? Now, a lot of this is going to be personal preference. However, you do not have a ton of free storage on this computer. If you take a look at Windows File Explorer, there is 9.6 gigabytes of free space out of 27.8 gigabytes on the drive. Now you might say, wait, I thought we had 32. Well, you do, except that's how the drive companies sell it, and you lose 7% due to the way Windows keeps track of space versus the drive companies, and then a little bit of space is lost to hard drive, or actually flash memory, just the partitions, the way it's stored, so that's correct. It's worth noting some of that can be freed up. How much? Let's take a look. The first thing we're going to do is go to Start, Settings, System, Apps and Features. There are a number of things in this list that we can safely remove. Now, you may or may not want to keep all of them, but again, I'm going to explain why I'm removing them. 3D Builder, this is a program provided by Microsoft on every Windows 10 installation. Do you do 3D modeling? Do you make 3D models? Nope, I don't either. We'll uninstall that. Adobe Shockwave Player. Now, maybe you want to keep this, but frankly, I don't like most of this stuff. This screen comes up because we're uninstalling a program that requires administrator access to remove it from the drive. That's why this comes up. We'll hit yes, and that'll uninstall, and we'll hit close. Now, this is not large. This is simply an icon. This isn't put there by Microsoft. That was put there by HP. It's not big. It's actually providing you with this icon directly to Amazon down here. We'll unpin that. The AMD Install Manager is the AMD drivers, by the way, because we do have both an AMD CPU as well as an AMD graphics card on board. We'll talk about that more when we're finished uninstalling programs. App Installer, that's provided by Microsoft. Leave that there. Avast Secure Line. I'm going to remove this because we're going to be using Microsoft Windows Defender, which is the built-in antivirus, anti-malware software provided with Windows 10. We'll hit uninstall. Yes. Yes. We'll hit OK. Bonjour. This is an Apple program. I don't need that either. Again, not a very large program, but it takes up space and I'm not going to use it. Now, if you have an iPhone or an iPad that you plan to connect to this laptop and you install iTunes, well, you're going to end up with that again anyway. Don't use iTunes. You don't need that either. Calculator and camera will leave. We don't have a choice. Candy Crush Soda Saga, really? This is a Microsoft thing, unfortunately. This is coming with every new Windows 10 installation, 115 megabytes. Now, 115 megabytes may not seem like a lot, but we don't have a lot of storage on this machine, so let's clean that off. Unless you enjoy the game, in which case keep it. Dropbox. Now, this is from HP, not Microsoft. Microsoft would never put this on here because they're promoting their OneDrive. Dropbox is cloud-based storage. This is a promotion that HP puts this on here. You get a free trial for probably a year of 25 gigabytes of Dropbox storage. Now, if you use Dropbox, keep this. Use it. Log in with your account, and you'll get a bonus of 25 gigabytes of Dropbox space. If you don't use Dropbox, then you can safely remove it. We'll uninstall that. This touchpad software, leave this here. That is for the touchpad on the laptop. Energy Star, this is simply a little thing that lets you know, yes, it's an Energy Star laptop. There's no need to leave that on there. That doesn't actually do anything. Now, this is actually my printer at home. Windows auto installs this. I'm going to leave this here because I actually have an Epson WF3540 series printer. This did not come with the laptop. This is Windows 10 auto installing the driver. That's why that's there. Facebook, 170 megabytes. This is the Windows 10 Facebook app. Now, I do use Facebook, but I use it through a web browser. I don't use the Windows 10 App Store app, so I remove it. If you like the Windows 10 app, keep it. Otherwise, get rid of it. Feedback Hub, that's for the inside early adopters for feedback. We don't need that, unless you do that, but most of you don't. Get Office. I remove this as well. I actually use Office 365. This is trying to get you to use the subscription service to Microsoft Office. You can free up a little bit of space. Groove Music, unfortunately, cannot be removed. HP documentation. Do you want to leave it? If you want to pull up the documentation, great. It's not very large. I'm going to remove it because we can always look at the documentation on HP's website. HP ePrint software. They put this on here because they want you to buy an HP printer. I don't have an HP printer, so I'll remove it. And as you can see here, it's currently uninstalling. If you have such a printer, if you want to use the service, keep it. But this is just the kind of thing that you will find on a pre-built machine from a company such as HP that you can clean off and free up some of your space. HP registration service. Once you've registered, you don't need this anymore, or just uninstall it. HP Support Assistant. Now, you might want to keep this. This is a program that provides you with more information about your laptop, support information for contacting HP, as well as a way to update some of the drivers on the laptop. You can access it by clicking on Start and coming down to HP Help and Support and clicking on HP Support Assistant. If you'd like to see what it looks like, I'll pull it up now. Here is the HP Support Assistant. You can see the device here. Now the warranty and services remaining is unknown because it's not registered. There's an update and some messages, although that update's just the diagnostic UEFI update. I didn't bother putting it on. There's also some support information here if you'd like to contact HP. If you care about this, keep it. I personally am going to remove it because it'll make the boot a little faster and free up some space. HP Support Solutions Framework, same thing, it goes along with it. We're going to remove that as well. HP System Event Utility. Great, another thing that's tracking what we're doing. We'll take that off. The HP Welcome is the screen that showed up when the computer first booted. Basically, here's your computer, here's what we're doing, hi, hello, and welcome. Yeah, that's nice. I mean, watch it if you want, keep it if you want. I want my storage space back. The HP Wireless Button Driver, that we're going to keep. That is going to be important. You want to keep generally anything that says driver in the name. Same thing with the Intel Pro Wireless Driver. That's for our Wi-Fi. Wireless Bluetooth, again, keep that as well. Mail and calendar, you can't remove. Maps, you can't remove. McAfee Live Safe. Let me talk about this. This is a big, important one. McAfee is actually owned by Intel at the moment. This is antivirus, anti-malware software. This is a free trial provided by them in order to try to get you to sign up for the service. This is perhaps the most important thing, in my opinion, to remove. Now, if you like McAfee, if you want to keep it and use it, well, by all means, go ahead. But Windows 10 includes very good antivirus and anti-malware software included at no extra charge that Microsoft updates every single day. There's no need to pay for extra antivirus. Use the one included. Why is this on here? It's trialware. It'll start popping up messages in some period of time, maybe 30 or 60 days, saying, warning, your computer's not up to date. Warning, your computer's insecure. Give us your credit card and $30 to make your computer safe. Yeah, Windows does that anyway. You don't have to pay for it. So we are going to get rid of that. Uninstall. And we definitely want to remove this and remove all files and hit remove. Warning, you still have an active subscription. Yeah. Remove. Your PC, this is exactly what I'm talking about this warning. Your PC is at risk. By removing your McAfee software, you're no longer protected against viruses, spyware. That's not true. And they really need to stop saying this. I don't want to say it's false advertising, but it's darn close. See this? Turn on virus protection. Not to worry. Windows Defender will have us covered. We're going to, yeah, go away. When they say your PC is not protected, that's not true. That is what Windows Defender is for. What they should try to do is say, here's why our program is better than the included antivirus. Microsoft provides this, here's what we do that's different. Instead, they try to convince people that their computers are unsafe without the software. I consider that to be dishonest, so I don't use them. I used to use actually Norton Antivirus. Years ago, back in the Windows XP days, I would use Norton Antivirus, and you had to in those days because Microsoft didn't provide an option. Then they came along with something called Microsoft Security Essentials, which was okay. It was basic. It worked well enough. Windows Defender in Windows 10 is fine. Microsoft has found religion when it comes to internet security, system security. They didn't used to. Microsoft did not used to take security seriously, but they do today, so it's fine. One thing that I definitely recommend that you do, and it may or may not even suggest it at the end of this, but when you remove this, well, here you go. It says restart later or restart now. Antivirus is integrated so deeply into Windows, I strongly recommend that you reboot your computer when you install or uninstall something like an antivirus program before you do anything else on this list. So I'm going to click Restart Now, and we'll be back in just a minute, back to this exact same place. And we're back into Windows, and we're back to the application list. Mail and calendar we keep, maps, messaging you can't remove, Microsoft Office 365. Now, above this, there was a program called Get Office, which was just a small header that basically wants to encourage you to go get Office 365. This is actually the full program. Now, if you plan to actually run Office 365, you might as well leave this on. It'll probably need an update, but you can run this and sign into it, and the actual program is here. It will save you a download. If you are not going to use Office 365, you can safely remove this and it will free up several hundred megabytes of your precious solid-state storage. And this is the program that actually removes it. There are 4 stages here. This does not require a reboot. You will need to do a reboot at the end to clean up the remaining files, but it doesn't require one at this point. As a side note, if you're watching all this going, really is all of this step-by-step necessary, keep in mind that I make these videos for people who don't set up computers on a regular basis, who maybe only buy a new computer every couple of years. Maybe this is your first Windows 10 computer and you're not used to going through these screens or you don't know what to remove. I fully understand that some of my audience knows this and this is very rudimentary, but Everybody was new once, so I'm going through this detailed step-by-step for those for whom this is their first time, or they just don't do it very often and are not sure. And it's now been removed. It does mention that in order to clean up a few remaining files, a restart's required. We'll do that at the end. We'll hit close. Messaging, we cannot remove that. Microsoft Solitaire Studio, keep it, remove it, it's your choice. I actually quite like playing Solitaire, so I leave it on, but that's up to you. All of these Visual C++s, leave those. You need them. They're used by programs. Don't mess with those. Minecraft, 182 megs. Do you play Minecraft? Well, use it. It's included. Otherwise, you can remove it. Movies and TV, you can't remove that. Netflix, well, if you use the Netflix app, keep it. Otherwise, get rid of it. This is just a small news app that Microsoft provides. I always remove that. OneNote can't be removed, but it's not very large. Paid Wi-Fi and cellular, well, you can run it if you're interested in such services. I take that off of all of my machines. Not very large, but it does free up some space. People can't be removed. Phone, I always remove because I don't have a Windows 10 phone. If you do, well, then you'll probably use that app. Photos can't be. Realtek card reader and Realtek Ethernet controller driver, leave those. That's for your SD memory card reader. This is for your RJ45 jack. Leave those alone. And this is for your sound chip. Don't touch that. 346 megabytes. Really? Royal Revolt 2? Well, okay, if you want a game, there's a game, but get that stuff off there. I really wish this stuff would not be on there. Skype preview. Well, I actually do use Skype, but I don't use the Windows 10 app. I use the separate program, so I'm going to get rid of that. That's from the Windows 10 App Store, not the download that you can do directly from Microsoft's website. Snapfish, again, another Windows 10 app. Sticky Notes, Store, Tips, we can remove that. This is another thing that's paid to be put on there. It's just clutter as far as I'm concerned. We'll get rid of TripAdvisor. Twitter, I actually use Twitter. Follow me on Twitter, link in the video description below, but I do not use the Windows 10 app. I just use the web browser, so we'll get rid of that. Wild Tangent games, you can play with this if you want. There are a couple of cheap games on there. We'll hit uninstall. Wild Tangent is basically a bunch of cheap games that are, yes, uninstall that. They're trying to get you to pay for them. They're kind of like demos or trials, and then they want to collect money. There's plenty of other games that you can go get yourself. Get rid of that. So that just freed up a whole bunch of space. However, we're not done yet. Come over here to the left side of the screen and click Storage. Then click This PC. Give this a second to update. Now, once this is updated, scroll down to the bottom to Temporary Files. Click on Temporary Files and take a look. Now, generally, temporary files and previous versions of Windows will often have something in them. How much is in them depends upon what we've done. I'm going to click Remove these files to both. How long that takes depends upon how many Windows updates had to be run on your particular system. Sometimes the previous version of Windows can be rather large. Now we need to do a reboot, start, power, restart to clean up the remaining files. We'll be right back. And here we are back into Windows after rebooting. If we open up Windows Explorer, you will see that we have 11.1 gigabytes free. We freed up about 1.5 gigabytes, give or take, of storage space. Given the limited amount of space on a machine such as this, every gigabyte counts. Now, I mentioned in the original video that you could easily add more storage by inserting a memory card. And what it will look like when you do so is this. When you install an extra memory card, you will see a drive. In this case, it shows up as the letter D. You can use it as you would any drive in the system. I have installed a 128 gigabyte memory card into the memory slot. Now, that memory card is not going to be as fast as a true solid-state drive, nor is it really meant to run programs from. You can, but it's mostly for data storage, photos, videos, etc. It's a way to get extra space on the system if you need it because the system itself comes with such limited storage. The next thing to do is to check for Windows Defender. So we are going to go to Start and we're going to type in Windows Defender. And there it is. What's new in Windows Defender? This basically wants to know, do you want to have the best protection updates? You do have to turn this on because it does send automatic samples to Microsoft. Unless you're working on super top secret things, turn this on. Hit close. Real-time protection is on. Notice that our virus and spyware definitions were created 261 days ago. That is because Windows Update did not update them because we had McAfee on here. Click Update and click Update Definitions. Once it finds the update, it then downloads and installs them automatically. And the update is now complete. I want to draw your attention to when the definitions were created versus when we updated them. I am recording this on February 4th, 2017 at 9:59 p.m. These definitions were created 6 hours ago. They have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week updating. I often see 2 or 3 updates a day. Anybody who remembers the bad old days from 10 years ago where Microsoft was known for having insecure, unsafe operating systems, and they did, that has changed. The fact that they update these things every few hours represents just how seriously they take it, and it's why I use Windows Defender and recommend it for you as well. Now, after noticing that, your eye may be brought to the top of the screen, potentially unprotected. That is because a scan has never been run on this PC. You can absolutely click Scan Now, and it will do a quick scan. Now, this will automatically run about once a week in the background when you're not using your machine. It's a brand new computer. There's nothing on it. We haven't installed anything. This is really unnecessary, but if it makes you feel better, go ahead and run it. It doesn't take very long. With our antivirus up to date, the last thing to check is our AMD drivers. Now, this is not a gaming laptop. It's not meant to be used for playing a lot of intensive games. However, it's worth considering updating the AMD drivers, and thankfully, AMD makes that really easy for you. Open up your favorite web browser and come to this page, the AMD driver auto detect. Now, you can manually download this stuff, but personally, I think it's much easier to use their automatic detecting software. We're going to hit save. Once it has downloaded and saved, just click the run button. You can safely close your web browser at this point and click install. Once it goes through the initial installation process, this is the screen that's going to come up. It shows you the currently installed driver, and then it's going to check for new available drivers for your system. And it has found updated drivers. Now, you do have 2 available choices. You have the recommended driver, and you have an optional driver. I'm going to go ahead and choose the recommended driver. And I'm going to choose Express Install. You can choose Custom Install and look at the individual options if you want, but I'm just going to choose Express Install. It first has to download the installer. It will then go through the installation process. There is one more box you can check, which is down here. Keep system up to date. Do you want AMD to automatically update your display drivers or pop up a notification letting you know there are updated drivers? I am going to check that box. I think it's important to keep video graphics drivers up to date. Now, I said before, this is not a dedicated gaming machine. I will test some light-duty games. I'll test League of Legends on it. I might test Counter-Strike Global Offensive. I don't know what else I'll test on it. It's not a high-powered graphics chip, but for $200, I will find out what it will play, and I'll post a couple of videos on that. Once the download is finished, this is the screen you'll see. The games advertised change, but then there's a progress bar that will run. This will take anywhere between, maybe 3 to 5 minutes or longer, depending upon your internet connection speed, and we'll be back when this is done. With the graphics driver updated, click Restart Now, and that part is complete. We are now back into Windows. Our video drivers are up to date. Windows Defender is up to date. Windows Update is run. Our system is fully patched. We have removed the excess programs we don't need off of the system, cleaned up the temporary files, made as much available storage space as we possibly can. At this point, your computer is now safe to use. Either use Microsoft Edge or download Chrome or Firefox, whatever your preference is. Use your computer and enjoy it. Coming up next, Windows performance review on this computer. Be sure to check that out. Like this video if you like it, share it with your friends if you loved it. Remember to subscribe to my channel using the big huge red button directly below this video. Questions and comments in the comment section below, and as always, check out the video description below. Link to the full playlist of videos on this computer, link to Amazon.com where I bought this laptop, and you should too if you want the best deal in a $200 14-inch laptop with a 1080p Full HD display. It's a good value for that price point. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.